Today we're getting golden with V Magazine, revving our engines with Vogue Philippines, and going to the ballet with GQ Portugal. My name is Marco, welcome to the Model Gene, and if you're ready to dissect this month's covers, hit that like button and let's get started on May's Battle of the Covers. Starting off with Vogue US, we have men on 4 covers of the Met Gala issue, 3 photos, and 1 painting of Pharrell. Tyler Mitchell's cover of A$AP Rocky is my favorite of the bunch, but across the covers, I think they were way too conservative with the styling. None of these covers read as black dandyism. This was a missed opportunity, especially since menswear is always so much more boring on fashion covers, and this theme was the perfect opportunity to push boundaries. A$AP Rocky looks good, but one brooch does not make a dandy. Coleman Domingo's cover is very plasticky looking, a deliberate artistic choice, but the lack of texture across the image isn't my favorite. Again, nothing in the styling is very heightened. Lewis Hamilton's cover is my least favorite, so incredibly basic and boring. Especially given Hamilton's fashion in the paddock across the Formula One circuit, why would they opt for a black suit that he could wear to a wedding or funeral? Vogue wanted to make a historic moment by featuring 4 black men on these covers, but the execution leaves much to be desired. Billie Eilish covers British Vogue. These photos are fine, very Gen Z in the contrived low-effort look about them, and if I had to pick one of the covers, it would be the one with the leg. Yes, it's purposefully kitsch, but at least compositionally, it is more entertaining than the portrait. From left to right, we have the symbol of femininity with the red high heel on an exposed leg, contrasting with Billie's masculine oversized look, and the division of earth and sky bisecting horizontally. I think more thought could have gone into the use of color here, a way to tie in the red shoe on Billie, but it's not the worst cover from British Vogue. Adriana Lima, Joan Smalls, and Lara Stone cover Vogue France, and these covers by Mario Sorrenti are relying entirely on the star power of these models. There is no point in judging them individually because they are all equally boring. I'm going to assume this was part of a YouTube TikTok challenge to see how many covers they could shoot in 15 minutes with one roll of film. These are my least favorite covers of the month. Lolli Baya covers Vogue Italia, and as minimalist this is, I still think it's a good cover because it has a clear narrative. The styling of the relaxed cotton shirt, natural hair, pulled back but not slicked back, everything is telling a story of youth without the veneer of anything fake. She has a beauty that is in strong contrast with the Instagram model face, no lip filler or Facetune needed here, just a real model. Linda Evangelista covers Harper's Bazaar, and photographer Anthony Seklaoui decided to give us only the gesture of her face, with these photos that are so incredibly blown out. Why is it that only her face has a bit of motion blur, but her hair and body are perfectly sharp? I love Linda, and guess what? I am strong enough to see what she looks like without crazy retouching or an overexposed lighting. This is a common method of photographing older women. The higher the age, the higher the exposure, but it is not necessary with one of the most incredible faces that shaped an industry. Michelle Yeoh covers Vogue Taiwan, and she looks fantastic. This cover is a reference to Irving Penn's corner portraits from the 1940s, and this method of forcing the eye to a focal point is really effective. My main criticism is that a lot of the detail is lost in this black dress below the waist. It would have been stronger if the silhouette was more visible. Also, I wish we could have her thumb visible on her left hand, but nitpicking aside, this is an elegant and beautiful cover. Pomme Clémentif covers Vogue Philippines, and Limitless is the perfect title for this magazine that is the most fearless of all of the Vogues. Starting with the cover by Domen and Van de Velde, this is giving Charlie's Angels full throttle in the best way. Bold, punchy, great styling, and use of yellow against the cool tones of the sky. If I could change one thing here, it would be to add mud, spraying off the tires, a bit of splatter on Pomme as well. The 2 skydiving covers are arresting, but beyond the extreme context, they really work as images. In this cover, the angle of her body and the terrain are not parallel, which directs your attention to the convergence of these lines to her face. It is a really great use of negative space, really a very cool cover. In the cover with the hot air balloon, there are so many elements to like about this image. The bright colors, the lines of the seam that move your eye around, but the smartest part of this image is the moment that they chose for the cover. She's at that split second before plummeting by the force of gravity, that very moment where she gives up control and goes on the ride. And look at her face. Calm, collected, she looks entirely at peace. This is a really special cover. Thank you, Vogue Philippines, for daring to push boundaries. Chapel Roan covers W Magazine, and I'm always looking forward to seeing the work of Tim Walker. He is one of the few contemporary photographers who produces interesting work against a white background, and a lot of that is facilitated by the hair, makeup, and styling. The title reads The Wild, Whimsical, Wonderful World of Chaperone, and the hair's wild, the outfit is whimsical, the makeup is wonderful. The burst of color against the stark white background really makes her pop, but we still have the texture from the feathers to keep your interest and guide it upward. The rest of the editorial features more of the whimsy that was promised, my favorites being these portraits in the yellow jacket and skirt. The proportion of the bracelets are perfect, lots of personality coming from Chapel. This is a very successful cover from W Magazine. Tim Walker captured her energy, but channeled it through his point of view. Monica Bellucci covers Vogue Portugal for their Arts and Craft issue. Not a bad image, but I prefer when the styling tells a story rather than conflicts with one. Monica is in a pottery studio, hands covered in clay residue, wearing an outfit perfect for high tea. The most impactful images are the ones that feel honest instead of looking like product placement opportunities. I'm going to be referencing Avedon a few times in this video, but he spoke of the importance of his collaborators like Dune Arbus and Polly Mellon, how discerning they were with every item placed on the model's body. Stylists now are often just social climbers, not talented enough to work on a design team, the biggest egos on a set when they are sending out full looks straight off the runway. Elsa Matisse is also on 2 of the Vogue Portugal covers, and I can appreciate these images. They aren't the most visually digestible, your focus is being pulled around rather than guided on a path, but I love culturally relevant shoots for Vogue. Both covers have the model in the very center of the frame, same positioning of the hands holding flowers, so I would have preferred to see variation, movement. I prefer this cover, it's less crowded, the space between her arms gives more of a silhouette, it's more fun as well. Dorit Trevet covers Vogue Netherlands, and although they are normally one of my least favorite Vogues, this is a gorgeous cover. The sleeve looks a bit funny. I imagine they decided to tuck it back when shooting her because it was distracting, but I love the warmth of the subject against the coolness of the water at sunset. The rest of the editorial is full of equally beautiful images. Her natural beauty shines through. Vogue Netherlands has a second cover for May, this one of Isla Peterson, and I wonder why they would bother with this when the other cover is so much better. My eye goes directly up to her nostrils and the uneven bangs. I really wish they had the integrity to print only one cover, but what these magazines do is guarantee a cover in order to get a more famous model, regardless of what the outcome is. Lulu Tenny covers Vogue Korea. These 2 covers are cute, but with this 3rd cover, I want to take a moment to highlight her pose. Her face is showing no sign of strain, but I invite you to get on the floor and recreate this without ending up in the hospital. Lulu Tenny, I salute you. Her contorted body is creating such wonderful lines, and this jacket is being used to its full potential. I wouldn't have even bothered with the other 2 covers when this one is so much more interesting. Ursula Corbero covers Vogue España by Elizaveta Porodina. Definitely an interesting cover. I prefer when her work is more colorful, like this image I would have enjoyed as a cover if she was making eye contact. This black and white image is a highlight from the editorial. This shot as well is great. Although it's not my favorite cover of the month, it stands out and is interesting, 2 characteristics with increasing rarity these days. Nastasia Legrand covers Harper's Bazaar France. I love the hair, soft makeup, but especially after the Balenciaga scandal, can we just stay away from teddy bears for a minute? It is immediately infantilizing to the subject, but I think the bracelet works great without being too overpowering. In the editorial, they are referencing the famous 1980 Calvin Klein campaign with Brooke Shields by Richard Avedon, one that was met with backlash since she was only 15 at the time, and the suggestive tagline. It looks like they wanted to dip their toes with 2 different underage scandals with this shoot, but I don't see what was the point. Jenna Ortega covers V Magazine, photographed by Zoey Grossman, a simple and nice cover of the actress. The crackled texture of this leather jacket is beautiful, but my one complaint is the hair. In the retouching of this photo, the white levels of the image were raised to make the background truly white, but as a result, the hair starts to look crispy because many of the fine hairs are no longer visible. Especially in this section, it doesn't look very nice, but with that being said, I still think it's a good celebrity cover. V Magazine also has 10 covers featuring models for this issue, all photographed by Lufré. The sunglasses are a bit of a struggle for me. It makes it more difficult to connect to an image, and across the covers, it works with varying success. The shades work best in Adut's cover, with a sliver of her eye exposed, but the opposite is true with Taras, because it makes him look like he has one bug eye, and in this group shot, it ensures your focus is only on the model with both her eyes visible. I love Abby Champion's hair, but this position of her hands makes it look like she has some long alien talons. More fingers would have helped. I love the jewelry in Elton's covers. Isabelle Fontana's shoot is maybe my favorite of the covers, and my second favorite would be of Marina. It's very glamorous and sexy. James Turlington is Christy Turlington's nephew, and I just wish we could have seen more of that beautiful face of his. He is an example of great genetics, not nepotism. Candice is making beautiful shapes with this pose, one of the better covers, but Ashley Graham's cover would have benefited from a bit more twisting in her body. Fei Fei Sun covers Vogue China, more brilliant work from photographer Zhong Lin across these covers and the editorial. This is my favorite cover. I love the use of negative space. The spikes of her hair are like antennae. I just wish something more interesting was happening with her hair in this cover. The beauty portrait is nice, but I also love these photos from the editorial that feature more of this hair sculpture. Black and white images can be just as exciting as color ones, and these two images prove that. Natalie Portman covers Vogue Australia in two covers by Lachlan Bailey. The styling here is disjointed and distracting, but in the portrait, it is hard to criticize the cover when her face is so perfect. I would have preferred if her arms were down. An elongated neck would have been more elegant and pleasing to the eye, but this is still a nice cover of one of the most beautiful and talented actresses in Hollywood. Lindsay Lohan covers Vogue Czechoslovakia. I'm guessing the Morelli brothers tried to find a magazine to publish this shoot rather than it being commissioned for Vogue Czechoslovakia, because what does she have to do with this magazine? There's been a lot of talk about how incredible she has been looking lately, a sentiment that I agree with, but I don't love either of these covers. Her neck is swallowed up entirely here, and the red hat does not look great with the leather jacket. In the other cover, there's just not enough dimension in her face. Everything is reading flat. Bess Van Noor's cover is much more interesting and better reflects the identity of the magazine, which is trying to position itself as more artsy and avant-garde than celebrity-focused. It isn't the most incredible image, but the sheer fabric she is wrapped in does add some intrigue, and she is creating shapes that give the eye something to feast on. Elsa Husk covers Vogue Scandinavia, and for them, this is a great cover. They went for a retro vibe, perching her on a De Tomaso Pantera, but the hair is a letdown. They missed the opportunity to do something interesting, something relevant to the story that they are trying to sell. Jordan Dunn covers Harper's Bazaar España, and this image is full of attitude. I wouldn't have recognized Jordan since she is wearing these big sunglasses, but the styling is cohesive, representing the art and craft issue with this ribbon skirt. I prefer the silver cover rather than the black and orange. This reads too Halloween. They also could have used a different top between the different covers. The editorial is more about dancing. This image is definitely inspired by a 1961 portrait of Sid Charisse by Richard Avedon. Of the many covers from Arena On Plus, I absolutely love these covers by Alistair McClellan. This black and white cover made me think of Mapplethorpe's work. This and the color version have such a sweetness to them. This is really Alistair at his best, a master of subtext and capturing honesty that is rare in fashion photography. He has always been a successor to Peter Lindbergh in my mind, which is why I hate when he does these Katie Grand-styled Instagram influencer covers. These covers for Arena On Plus are exactly why he is one of my favorite photographers. Both of them are competing for my favorite covers of the month. Let me know in the comments which you prefer, black and white or color. Sebastian Stan covers Vanity Fair, and of all the images from the story, the cover is my least favorite. There is a very shiny plastic quality to the cover that isn't present in the other photos due to the lighting and how sharply he is focused, but not the road behind him. If his front arm is just as sharp as his back arm, he was shot with a greater depth of field, so that bit of road near him shouldn't be so blurry. Sorry to get too technical about the focal range, but it is making the photo seem inauthentic. When you contrast the cover with this image, you can see what I'm talking about, with this part of the road in better focus and getting more blurry as you get further away. The color grading is really dominant in this image, but I still like it, although my favorite images from the story are the black and white ones. They feel the most realistic and narrative. I am learning about this character through each image. Damiano David covers GQ Italia. Better than January's Vogue Italia cover, it is just not really screaming charisma. Looking at the other images from the editorial, this would have been my choice for the cover. It is a stronger image, more inviting, and I feel more personality here than the cover they chose. Hugo Marchand and Luana Dobem cover GQ Portugal. A very interesting photo of Hugo. It is not really decipherable what is going on at his feet. I think he is wearing a lucite high heel with this fabric that is obfuscating the form, but this piked position with that fabric blowing upwards is pretty amazing. Of course, that is the benefit of photographing a ballet dancer. They can create beautiful shapes with their body. This shot from the story is my favorite, although I would have loved to see some of his neck. With Luana Dobem's cover, I find this really difficult to digest. There's so much going on with the comic tiled background, the reflection of the trees and other buildings from the glass panels, but the eyes confuse me. I thought they blacked out the eyes for a Jason mask creepy vibe, but when I looked her up, I saw that she simply has very hooded eyes, and they didn't light her face accordingly. And that is where today's review is going to end. But for more about the fashion industry, check out the links below. Let me know in the comments what you thought about the covers this month, and be sure to subscribe to find out who comes out on top next month in the battle of the covers.